Philippine Tourism Law Chapter 7 Laws Regulating Transportation Establishment. From the time the wheel was invented, man began to travel and explore different corners of the world. In modern times, with the invention of the first flying machine and the marine vessel, tourism started to grow at a fast pace. Transportation as a business carries with it not only high returns but great responsibility, for many lives are at stake in the risky sector of tourism. Learning objectives: to identify the laws affecting the transportation sector, to identify the rights of passengers of commercial transportation, and to explain the relevance of these laws to the promotion of tourism in the country. The topic outline: the law, discussion of the law, application of the law. Law on common carriers. The primary law that governs common carriers is the Civil Code of the Philippines, as clearly implied from Article 1766 thereof, which states that in all matters not regulated by this code, the rights and obligations of common carriers shall be governed by the Code of Commerce and special laws. The law. Article 1732. Common carriers are persons, corporations, firms or associations engaged in the business of carrying or transporting passengers or goods or both by land, water, or air for compensation, offering their service to the public. Common carriers are entities such as transportation companies or telecommunications providers that offer services to the public for free. They are subject to specific legal obligations, often established by regulatory bodies or statutes, to provide their services safely, reliably, and impartially. These obligations typically include responsibilities related to the delivery of goods or services, adherence to schedules, and non-discrimination in providing service to the public. The laws governing common carriers vary by jurisdiction but generally aim to protect consumers and ensure fair access to essential services. Responsibility of common carriers. The law of responsibility of common carriers typically refers to the legal principles governing the obligation and liabilities of entities that transport goods or passengers for hire. Common carriers are held to a higher standard of care and responsibility compared to ordinary individuals or businesses due to their role in providing transportation services to the public. This often includes duties such as ensuring the safety of passengers or cargo, providing reasonable accommodations, and taking precautions to prevent harm. If a common carrier fails to meet this obligation and someone is harmed as a result, they may be held legally responsible for damages. Liabilities of common carriers. For the acts of employees and strangers. The law. Article 1759. Common carriers are liable for the death or injuries to passengers through the negligence or willful acts of the former employee, although such employees may have acted beyond the scope of their authority or in violation of the orders of the common carriers. This liability of the common carriers does not cease upon proof that they exercised the diligence of a good father of a family in the selection and supervision of their employees. Enforcement of liabilities of common carriers. The liability of common carriers can be enforced on the following causes. Number 1. In case of death or injury caused to passengers, the victim may file a case of a breach of contract or carriage or culpa contractual against the owner of the common carrier. Number 2 is in case of death or injury caused to a stranger or pedestrian, the victim may file a criminal complaint against the driver or of a common carrier for neckless imprudence resulting in homicide and damage to property. The victim may also file a civil suit against the common carrier and its driver on the ground of culpa acquisiana or quasi-delect. Damages recoverable from common carriers. The law of damages recoverable from common carriers refers to the legal principles governing the compensation that can be sought by individuals or entities who suffer losses or damages while their goods or property are being transported by a common carrier, such as a trucking company, airline, or railway. Common carriers are held to a high standard of care and are generally liable for damages caused by their negligence or breach of contract. The specific rules and limitations on recoverable damages may vary depending on jurisdiction and terms of the contract between the parties involved. Nature of airline, bus, and shipping tickets. The law of nature regarding airline, the bus, and shipping tickets typically refers to the terms and conditions established by the respective transportation companies. These terms outline regulations regarding ticket purchase, cancellation policies, passenger rights, baggage allowances, and other relevant information. While specific laws may vary by country or region, transportation companies generally have their own policies governing ticketing and passenger conduct. It's important for travelers to review and understand these terms before they purchasing tickets to avoid any misunderstanding or disputes. Person authorized to engage in domestic air transportation. Air transportation within the limits of the Philippines territory shall be reserved only to citizens of the Philippines, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution and existing treaty or treaties. The term citizen of the Philippines means any individual who is a citizen of the Philippines or a partnership of which each member is such an individual or a corporation or association created or organized under the laws of the Philippines, of which the directing head and two-thirds or more of the board of directors and other managing officers are citizens of the Philippines, and in which 60% of the voting interest is owned or controlled by persons who are citizens of the Philippines. Registration of aircraft. The law of registration of aircraft typically governs the registration process for aircraft within a specific jurisdiction. It outlines the requirements, procedure, and legal obligation related to the registering aircraft, including ownership documentation, safety standards, and compliance with aviation regulations. These laws ensure the traceability and accountability of the aircraft ownership and operation, contributing to aviation safety and security. Each country may have its own specific laws and regulations regarding aircraft registration, which are usually overseen by the Civil Aviation Authority or a similar regulatory body. Documents required to support application for accreditation to operate as a tourist transport operator. A is the mayor's permit and or municipal license. B is the business name certificate and all amendments thereto, if any, in the case of single proprietorship, in the case of corporation or partnership. A certified true copy of articles in incorporation, its bylaws or articles of partnership and amendments thereto, if any, duly registered with a Securities and Exchange Commission. C is proof of ownership or contract of lease owner, an area dedicated to serve as maintenance depot and garage for all its units, not applicable to water transport. D is a list of names of all officials and employees and their respective designations, nationalities, home address, certified correct under oath by the general manager or president. And E is such other papers or documents as may be required from the time to time by the department. For land transport, a copy of the LTFRB certificate of franchise or authorization for tourist car or bus service, a copy of transportation rates as approved by the LTFRB, and pictures of the vehicle showing the side, back, and front views thereof with the company's name and logo imprinted at its rear and sides, respectively. Such other papers or documents as may be required from time to time by the department. For water transport, a copy of a certificate of public convenience and necessity issued by the Maritime Industry Authority, a copy of the transportation rates as approved by the Maritime Industry Authority, pictures of the vessel showing the side, back, and front view thereof with the company's name and or logo imprinted on its sides, a company of routes to be served, and schedules, such as other papers or documents as may be required from time to time by the department. For air transport, a copy of the certificate of the Republic Convenience and Necessity issued by the Civil Aeronautics Board, a copy of the transportation rates as approved by the Civil Aeronautics Board, and the pictures of a plane showing side, back, and front views thereof with the company name and or logo imprinted as its sides. List of operation and maintenance official and personnel with the ATO licenses, copy of the routes to be served and flight schedules, and such other papers or documents as may be required from time to time by the department. The seatbelt law. Seatbelt law typically refers to the regulation requiring drivers and passengers to wear seatbelts while inside of vehicles. These laws are designed to improve safety and reduce the risk of injury or death in the event of a crash. Enforcement of seatbelt laws varies by jurisdictions, but violation often result in fines or penalties for drivers and passengers who fail to comply. Seatbelt law have been widely adopted around the world as a standard safety measures in vehicles. The law on transportation of animals. Laws regarding the transportation of animals typically focus on ensuring their welfare and safety during transit. These laws often dictate conditions such as adequate space, ventilation, temperature control, access to food and water, and proper handling procedures. Violation of these laws can result in fines, penalties, or other legal consequences for individuals or organizations responsible for transporting animals. Regulations vary by jurisdiction, but many countries have specific legislation or guidelines governing the transportation of animals, especially for commercial purposes. Law on importation of vehicles. Law on the importation of vehicles vary by the country and are typically regulated by government agencies responsible for transportation or customs. These laws often cover aspects such as emission standards, safety regulation, import duties, taxes and documentation, and requirements. It's important for individuals or businesses intending to import vehicles to familiarize themselves with the specific regulation of the country they are importing to, as non-compliance can result in penalties or delays. The public service laws. Public service laws encompass a wide range of regulation governing the conduct of responsibility of individuals working in various government roles. These laws typically covers issues such as ethics, conflicts of interest, accountability, transparency, and fair treatment of the public. They aim to ensure that the public servants uphold high standards of integrity and serve the interests of the public good. Examples include whistleblower protection laws, codes of conduct, and the regulation on political activities by government employees. The traffic laws. Traffic laws are regulations that govern the operation of vehicles on public roads. They encompass the rules related to the speed limits, signaling, right-of-way, parking, and other aspects of driving behavior. These laws are designed to promote safety and efficient traffic flow. Violation can result in fines, licenses suspensions, or other penalties, depending on the severity of the offense. And that's all for the chapter 7. Thank you for watching.